A lot of people are worried about AI taking jobs. But what if the real threat isn't AI itself, but rather our reluctance to adapt? Today we're tackling one of the most pressing questions of our time. Will AI take our job? And more importantly, how can we stay relevant and valuable in a world where AI is taking a larger role in the workforce? I wanted to share just a few of my thoughts on this subject, and I don't think the future is quite as bleak as you might think. Let's take a look. There's a growing fear that AI will replace countless jobs, leaving many of us concerned about what our future looks like. But the reality isn't that simple. AI won't instantly replace your job. What it's actually doing is fundamentally changing the way we need to approach work. AI isn't here to replace you overnight, but make no mistake, your job will inevitably evolve. To succeed, you'll need to navigate 3 distinct phases of AI adoption: enhancement, delegation, and management. And I want to talk about those. The first phase that we're going to talk about is enhancement. This is the beginning. It's where we find ourselves today, and we're only just stepping into it, so it will last for a little while, depending upon the role you're in. Now, of course, everything we're going to talk about here depends on the role that you have, the kind of job you have. It's all highly variable, so I will try to generalize this as much as I can so that it makes sense for a lot of different roles. I will probably be speaking largely from an engineering standpoint, as that's kind of my background and something that I know well. And in fact, I actually have a role that is attempting to help a company navigate these waters today. But let's talk about enhancement. So enhancement is the love affair. It's the meet cute. This is the moment we see ChatGPT out there, we see GitHub Copilot, we see Notion AI, and tons of tools. They're all very exciting. They're all leveling all of us up. It's where we see the actual enablement, where we are actually empowered by this utility. Just writing an email today, you can probably do that far better than you did a month ago. And that trend will only get better. As it understands your writing style, the people that you respond to in different ways, there's going to be a ton of new enhancements coming in this space. It's a very common space, and it's the one that we're all going to benefit from. I expect during this time, we're looking at maybe 10 to 50% kind of enhancement, better efficiency at whatever role or job you're taking on. So these are those moments where it used to take me 2 hours to do something. I just throw it at ChatGPT. It gives me the information back. Those kinds of things are the tools that we have today that are highly valuable in making you more efficient. And I think all of us need to start using those tools. And this is unfortunately where a lot of people stop. So I think a lot of people are thinking, I'm going to use ChatGPT. Great, I'm using AI. It's made me more efficient. I can't imagine how this takes over the world or does my job, because all it's really doing is writing an email. This is where we start talking about that next level, that delegation level. That's phase 2. But while in phase 1, I want to really say, learn these tools, learn to use them, learn to stretch them, learn to make them work together, and figure out what you can actually get out of them, because it will make all of the other phases much easier. Our goal here is to both understand what work looks like in the future, just a little bit, will it really take all of our jobs? And also, what kind of mitigating steps can you take today to help you navigate this space and be relevant as you move through it? And if you're only just entering the workforce, or if you're in school and you're wondering about where you should go next and what you should be studying, a lot of this really applies. The idea of how does AI change this world right now? It's really the enhancement phase. For the most part, everything is still at this phase of betterment. If you're working on a computer science degree, for example, you might look at this and say, do I really need to learn how to program? Because these things are getting so good at that. However, what you want to do is figure out what place in that process you can be valuable. The enhancement phase is seen by this productivity enhancement that we've talked about, but it's also seen by everyone. So all of us gain benefit here. It's very unlikely anyone loses their job at this point. AI is not replacing, it's actually just enhancing. So we will see just a big boost of productivity during this period. So if you imagine enhancement is the whole thing, and that's the end of the AI story, then you're going to be surprised as AI starts advancing forward, which it's already doing, much further than just being able to enhance you. Before we step into the next phase, which is delegation, let me stay at kind of the 1.5 stage. We've been enhanced, and we're about to move to delegation. You'll see in a second that that's marked with a little bit more control. At this point, though, is when we start discussing the very beginning of job collapsing. It's not really trying to eradicate jobs. It's trying to make the humans that do those jobs more efficient, and the best way to be able to do that is to be able to automate more of it. It's a very common pattern to automate a section of your job so that you might be able to do more work that's more efficient. But it is worth saying that phase 2 is really where you should be looking to so that you're not one of those people that's essentially phased out. Now, if your job is highly repeatable, can be written down a set of steps, or if you could train somebody relatively straightforward with a series of steps or definitions, and it doesn't take a lot of subjective work to come to conclusions, then your job is highly likely condensable. Don't stop at phase 1 and just adopt and become more efficient. Let's move on to phase 2 and start saying, okay, if I want to stay valid and I want to stay active in the space and important to the process, what do I need to do? Let's move on to phase 2. Phase 2, delegation. All right, this one won't look surprising to you. I think you probably can anticipate what this looks like. But delegation is that moment where you're giving your work to AI and actually starting to employ AI to be able to perform work, maybe not just the work that was in front of you. So you're delegating not just the tasks that were in front of you in the past, but now that you're more efficient and can see a little bit broader, you'll also be figuring out how to build systems that can do that work plus other work as well. And that becomes this delegation phase. You will pull yourself out of the workflow and you will just kind of oversee the work that's being done and adjust things accordingly as it moves through, figuring out where the human needs to be in the loop, which will demark this kind of phase for a long time, as people will still need to be in the loop pretty heavily many times, as it'll be just faster and more adaptable if at some point the AI stops and says, is this good enough? Should I go to the next phase? And humans make some determination and the next step starts. I think we'll see a lot of that. I don't know how long this one lasts. Let's say 6 months to a year, but it'll last for a little bit of time when we start talking about this adaptability curve that we're going to be going through. But this delegation phase is the phase where not everyone moves to it. So an employer is going to choose the people that are best fit to be able to delegate things, obviously. The people that can only do the work from the previous level may not have a place to sit in this place. Just so you're aware, this may be the moment where we start seeing a little bit of job loss or reappropriation of roles. That sounds terrible. But this delegation phase is the phase where not all roles move on. That's an important distinction about this phase. You want to be able to move on. Your employer is going to look around and figure out who has the best handle on this, who can control it best, who understands the moving parts, and can work effectively with these tools. And so that's really the important one. This is one of the most important phases. Understanding how to use these tools creatively, not just the tool that's been put in front of you. Somebody came to you in your company and said, congratulations, you have ChatGPT, use it for your job, please be more efficient. And you said, okay, I'm more efficient because I use it every now and then to write an email or something like that. Other people around you, however, have said, well, that's kind of cool. What else can I do with it? What other tools can I use? How can I tie it into other parts? Can I make it do multiple steps for me? Can I learn a little prompt engineering to get much better results out? Those people absolutely will be the people moving forward into phase 2 and delegation. That's what you need, is creativity. All of that is creativity. And that's the thing that you really need to start paying attention to, rather than your old technical skills that you might have been very focused on. It's time to start focusing on how you laterally think, use critical thinking, and maybe a little bit of creativity to solve problems, or in fact, composite answers that didn't exist before. That's actually going to be a really important part of this step. So if you can find your way to just being able to ask that next question kind of frequently and saying, what other tool is there? What else might I do with this? Is there a better way? If you're that person, don't worry about it. You'll move on to this next delegation phase. That's perfectly fine. If you find that kind of thinking difficult or something that you're frustrated with, buckle up. It's going to be hard, right? When you start talking about, can you compete with an AI that can do your job or follow the steps that you're currently following, you will absolutely not be able to compete for multiple reasons, not the least of which is that the AI will work all night, all shifts, every day. So you just can't compete with that. So don't think that you're going to be able to keep up. That's not the right frame of mind. Your lack of interest in adapting, that will be the reason that you end up not moving on. If you're interested in adapting, there almost certainly is a step or a seat for you in this next phase of delegation. Okay, so now we're here. We preserved our roles to a place to where we can creatively put together different solutions to solve problems maybe even creating processes that didn't exist before with the tools that we have. And we've probably got a whole bunch of new work from our bosses because we're so efficient, we may as well pile 9 tasks on one person instead of just one task of the old days. I think we're going to see quite a bit of that as well. So just get ready for that. But let's see what it takes to move on to the last phase. Phase 3, management. And I've got bad news for you at this point. I believe this is the point where we're losing 90% of the people that were doing some jobs previously. I think we're getting to a place to where someone sits around a whole bunch of AI systems and manages them and doesn't necessarily even delegate work to them, but instead can tell them their responsibilities and say, you're the one that makes sure that this system stays active, and sets it off and does its thing. Now, this could be a little bit longer term if you're willing to call a year or two longer term. I don't know if it'll take 2 years, but in many roles, it'll probably take at least that long. Some roles, it'll be much faster. But at some point, there will be large agentic workflows that can figure out the problems, that can go and hear somebody report a bug or watch the telemetry on a system and automatically create a bug report off of that goes into a system that some other agent is watching that fixes it and automatically CI/CDs that back into production before the user refreshes the next page. Those kinds of things could absolutely occur. We cannot even imagine keeping up in that space, nor would we want to. But this, by definition, means many of us will not move on to that final phase. This is management. This is a place, and I don't mean management in the traditional sense. I mean management from an AI workflow management standpoint. So you are now deeply aware of the things that AI can do, the things that AI cannot do, and your importance in all of this is being able to make decisions and connect dots that the AI cannot connect, whether they're too complicated, there's too many contexts that can't be absorbed at the same single place, or it's different portions of different organizations that need to consolidate their information together before a decision is made. I think that's what management of these AI systems in the future looks like. I think it's very important to denote things like we'll still have product managers or something akin to a product manager, somebody that has a main vision for a system, understands where they want that system going. We'll have other people that are consuming the analysis of how users are using the system or how new features are performing, but we're allowing AI to very easily drop these features out as experiments, run their own experimentation, update things appropriately, and somebody is just sitting there as kind of an overview to make sure everything's moving generally the way that the company wants it to move. I think we're really talking 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100 at this point. This may be multiple years away, but as you might imagine, this will occur over time. So there will be big chunks that fall off in certain areas while other areas persist for quite a while, but those areas will invariably also fall off, I believe. So I think what we're looking at is a mass consolidation of a lot of these complicated systems, or what we today presume are complicated systems, that AI will be able to take much smaller parts of it, solve those smaller parts, composite those solutions together. We will then be able to manage those composited solutions. So that's what this kind of looks like. To be able to maneuver in this space, you're going to have to be able to be highly creative, highly critical thinking, and really very good at kind of organization and communication to others, because there will be others. Your responsibilities at this point will be so broad. It wouldn't be, I manage this one page of an application, or I manage this one product that we sell. It's going to be much broader than that. Those responsibilities will balloon because AI will be doing so many things. You'll have to have a hyper awareness of a lot of it. So this is kind of the new work world, if you will, looking multiple years away, depending upon which role you're in. But really, that's so far away, especially for some companies, and in fact, maybe even entire industries, will be years and years from getting to that level of kind of penetration of AI and deep AI systems. So don't hear that this is tomorrow, or you should quit school, or anything silly like that. That is absolutely not the point. I think where we're going with work is into a place that it's not the technical and it's not the skill-based solution. Starting today, how do you get there? Other people are not focused at getting there today. So if you're thinking, I'm standing here today and I want to be standing way up here in my awareness and my understanding of both AI and our business processes and other things like that, that's a great standing point to say, let me get started. There's a lot of surface area for me to affect, for me to get stronger in each one of these areas. How do you get started? I mean, this is highly questionable. I can't give you action skills for each one of these things, but absolutely go and find solutions that are in the market today that you might be able to employ. Don't be afraid of even buying a small subscription for a month to something that maybe solves a problem. See if you can automate a few things away. See if you can combine a couple of the processes that you already have and see if AI can help. Work with others, teach others these skills, learn from them as well, communicate these skills. It's not a competitive environment at this point. You will definitely go further together. So definitely, I would say, lean into the AI-ness today. Like we have ChatGPT and these other tools. Certainly you want to be using those. Anything else? Agents. What does an agent do? How can I build an agent system? Is there a website that allows me to build agents? What does Manus do? How does it automate its systems? Is that something that I could use? Deep research. Can I automate that so that every morning I get a report on my stuff? Can I have it look at the data inside of my company and give me a report every day so that I understand what's happened? Or give me a report of all the things that have changed in our product recently? Those kinds of things, you should be looking for automation solutions, even if it's not currently within your job responsibility, because you will be learning how to employ the automation solutions and the different AI solutions. And that may not fit the kind of work you do, but imagine how you might be able to broaden those concepts to the kind of work that you do. That's going to be your starting point. I will continue to try to share things on this channel that may help, that may be able to guide you through. You've seen me do a lot of vibe coding. Vibe coding is fun, but it's also functional for a lot of people that have never had the opportunity to code before and just be able to understand what AI can allow them to do immediately. This will start happening across a lot of different paradigms, not just coding. So going and vibe coding and saying, can I write a little application that allows me to keep track of X? That's going to be formative to you. Other people will see that work that you're doing. That will be meaningful. Teach them, help pull them up. We all need that awareness, and that's really going to be the thing that helps us all survive in this space. I hope this doesn't come across as some doomsday talk. It's not meant to be. It's just my vision of what I can see as I move into this space and advise other people, how it might roll out, how it looks very likely to roll out. That timeline, again, is very flexible, but I think these stages are kind of obvious. And if you're aware of them now, really very much at the beginning and maybe well before the beginning in many of your roles, you really have a leg up. If you're watching this, you are already doing the right thing. You're steps ahead of everybody around you. You may not know it. You may think you're just watching a video. This is formative. This is great opportunities. If you're willing to learn, there's nothing but learning ahead. It's not just we're all going to lose our jobs. That is not the answer. That is not what's going to happen. Don't worry about that. We need humans to cooperatively work and guide these solutions. They are just solutions, and they will be that for a very long time, even though at some point it's very likely they can take over large chunks of things. That doesn't mean they take over everything, even in those days. So don't worry so much. There are opportunities for you out here. You just have to be aware and available to change and really willing to adapt to this stuff. Again, I really want to say it's okay. We're all here for one another. Look around at work. Look around at your friends at school. Help them understand this as well. I think that it's an important message for all of us. It really will affect all of us. And the more that we understand, the more that you're enabling other people around you to move forward. And really, that's the most human thing we can do. Regardless of this AI and work and everything else, that humanism is the thing that's going to tie us together. That's what matters the most. So don't lose it now in the rush to become the manager of all AI in some company. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. This was just my kind of futurism look at what kind of phases it will be as we move into the AI workforce ahead. Again, I hope you weren't scared by it. I do a lot of thinking in this space. I have a lot of futuristic ideas like this about what things look like and what order they might take. Not necessarily exact steps on how to solve them, to be quite honest. I don't think anybody has those. And I certainly can't see more than 2 days ahead because no one can in this space. It changes so rapidly. But at the same time, I will continue to share these with you. I hope they help a little bit. Feel free to subscribe and they'll jump out at you the moment that I release one. Thanks for coming along for the ride on this one, and I'll see you in the next one.